Dr. Elias Harper stepped off the shuttle onto the alien research station with a mix of awe and unease. The station floated above a gas giant, surrounded by clouds that shimmered with green and violet light. Massive towers and glowing spires stretched into the sky, humming with energy that made the air feel alive. Humans had built colonies in space before, but nothing like this. This place was alive in a way he had never imagined, and it made him feel small, almost fragile. Lyrics, the alien who had summoned him, met him at the entrance. She was smaller than a human, her skin translucent and glowing faintly blue. Her large silver eyes reflected light in ways that made Elias dizzy. She moved quickly, almost like a shadow, and her hands trembled as she gestured for him to follow. "Dr. Harper," she said, her voice urgent but soft. "Thank you for coming. We don't have much time." Elias frowned. "You said it was growing?" Lyrics nodded frantically. "It's beyond anything we've ever seen. It consumes, it learns, it spreads faster than we can contain. If we don't stop it, the station, it will be gone." Her voice cracked slightly, betraying fear that no alien was supposed to feel. They entered the main lab. The room was vast, filled with complex machinery and glowing panels, but Elias's eyes immediately went to the containment chamber in the center. Inside, a massive, writhing mass of organic matter pulsed and shifted. Its surface was translucent in parts, revealing veins of glowing energy that moved like rivers. It was enormous, larger than any creature Elias had ever studied, and yet it seemed aware. Every pulse, every movement was like a heartbeat of intelligence. He swallowed hard. "How fast is it growing?" he asked. Lyrics' eyes widened. "Minutes, hours. Sometimes it doubles in size before we even notice. Last week it destroyed an entire research wing. Machines, experiments, everything." Elias felt a chill run down his spine. He had faced dangerous pathogens and biological experiments on Earth, but this was something different. It wasn't just life, it was life that seemed to fight back, life that adapted faster than any human or alien mind could predict. And yet, even in the face of terror, something in him stirred. A mixture of fear, curiosity, and determination. Humans had survived extinction events, pandemics, and cosmic disasters. Humans had always found a way. He stepped closer to the chamber, studying the mass. It shifted almost as if it knew he was there. The pulsing light within it grew brighter, reacting to his presence. "It's intelligent," Elias said softly, more to himself than to Lyrics. Lyrics' hands flew to her face. "Intelligent? Yes, in a way. But it doesn't understand mercy. It doesn't understand restraint. It only grows and consumes. We've tried containment fields, isolation protocols, even chemical suppressants. Nothing works. And now it's reaching the outer sectors of the station." Elias felt the weight of her words. The station itself, a marvel of alien technology, felt fragile under the threat of this organism. He took a deep breath. "Then we have to learn how it thinks," he said firmly. "If it's intelligent, it responds to patterns, to stimuli. There has to be a way to reach it." Lyrics looked at him with a mixture of doubt and hope. "You think a human can do what my scientists cannot?" Elias gave a small, confident smile. "Humans adapt. We survive the impossible. Sometimes we even teach others how to survive." The mass in the chamber shifted violently, as if sensing the conversation. Pulses of bright energy flickered across its surface, casting shadows on the walls. Lyrics flinched. "It's aware of us. It senses fear, hesitation, and it will consume weakness." Elias placed a hand against the cool glass of the chamber. "Then we won't show fear. Not now, not ever. We will face it, and we will find a way. That's what humans do." Lyrics' silver eyes softened, a hint of trust forming. I hope you're right, Dr. Harper." For a moment, the hum of the station and the pulsing light of the organism were the only sounds. Elias knew that what came next would test everything humans were capable of. He was not just a visitor here, he was a lifeline. And somehow, deep in his chest, a spark of pride and courage ignited. He would face the impossible. Humans always did. The station's lights flickered as Elias and Lyrics walked down a narrow corridor toward the observation deck. Every step echoed against the cold metal walls. The hum of the station felt tense now, like it was holding its breath. Elias tried to focus on the problem in front of him, the organism, but he couldn't shake the feeling that it was watching, thinking, waiting. Lyrics led him to a large glass panel overlooking the outer sectors. Beyond the glass, vast corridors twisted like rivers of metal, some already darkened and twisted, the damage caused by the organism's previous growth. Pieces of machinery floated in the artificial gravity, abandoned and destroyed. Elias's stomach tightened. He had dealt with dangerous things before, but seeing the aftermath in real time brought the reality home. "It spreads faster than we can track," Lyric said, her voice almost a whisper. Her silver eyes darted nervously to the damaged sections. "Every time we try to contain it, it reacts. Every field, every chemical, every isolation chamber. Nothing works. It adapts too quickly, and now, it's reaching critical systems." Elias studied the monitors showing energy levels and the organism's growth rate. Lines of numbers moved too fast for him to read. Spikes indicating the organism's expansion, unpredictable and overwhelming. "It's learning," he said quietly, almost in awe. "It's not just growing. It's understanding patterns. It's thinking." Lyrix's hands trembled as she gripped the railing. "Thinking? No, don't call it that. It doesn't think like we do. It only consumes. It only grows. Everything it touches. It destroys. Our scientists tried communicating with it through chemical signals, even neural interfaces. Nothing worked, and now, if it reaches the energy cores, the entire station will collapse. We could all die within hours." Elias's mind raced. Humans had faced extinction before, but always with courage, logic, and creativity. He swallowed hard. "Then we can't fight it with machines. We have to fight it with understanding. Intelligence responds to patterns. Maybe it's not about stopping it. Maybe it's about showing it a better way." Lyrics turned toward him, confusion and fear mixing in her gaze. "A better way? You mean teach it? A human teaching it to stop destroying?" Elias nodded, determination sharpening his features. "Yes, if it can learn to grow, maybe it can learn to restrain. If it can sense fear and aggression, maybe it can sense calm and intent. It's not about power. It's about communication." Lyrix's silver eyes widened, a mixture of hope and disbelief. "Communication? Humans, you're dangerous, Dr. Harper. You think you can do what our entire civilization failed to do?" Elias's chest swelled with quiet confidence. "I don't just think it, I know it. Humans survive the impossible. Humans face fear and find solutions no one else can see. Maybe that's why we're here. Maybe the universe sent me for this moment." The organism shifted violently in the distance, pulsing brighter, almost as if it heard their conversation. Shadows stretched across the observation deck, casting eerie shapes on the walls. Lyrix flinched and whispered, "It's aware of us. It can sense hesitation, and it hates weakness." Elias's hand hovered over the glass as he stared at the living chaos. "Then we won't show fear. Not to it, not to ourselves. We will face it, and we will make it understand. Humans always find a way." A long silence fell between them, broken only by the distant groan of the station under strain. Lyrix's voice finally came, trembling but softer now. I hope you're right, human. I hope your courage can reach it where ours cannot." Elias turned to her, his gaze steady, full of quiet resolve. "Hope is the first step. The second step is action, and humans. We never stop acting, even when the odds are impossible." The organism's pulse brightened again, more powerful than before. It stretched like tendrils into the empty corridors, reaching, probing, testing. Elias felt a mix of fear and fascination. Here was life unlike any he had ever known, terrifying, unpredictable, and yet full of potential. He clenched his fists. "We have to try. Not with force, not with fear, but with our minds. That is what makes humans human." Lyrix watched him, a flicker of admiration breaking through her anxiety. Perhaps she thought the humans were more than legends. Perhaps they were a force the universe had underestimated. And for the first time, Elias felt a deep, unshakable certainty. No matter how strange, How alien or how deadly the challenge, humans had a way to survive, and maybe even to teach life itself how to grow without destroying. Elias spent hours in the lab, surrounded by blinking consoles, alien equipment, and the constant, unsettling pulse of the organism. The air smelled faintly of ozone and something organic, and the hum of the station vibrated in his chest. Every instinct told him this was dangerous, but every part of his mind was focused, alive with curiosity and determination. Humans thrived in impossible situations. Humans adapted, and now he was about to prove it. He studied the organism carefully. Its movements were unpredictable, yet there was a pattern hidden in its chaos. Each pulse and ripple seemed to react to the environment, the energy flows, and he realized emotions. The organism shrank when alarms sounded. It expanded when fear and panic radiated through the station. It recoiled from calculated, deliberate motion. "Lyrics," he said quietly. "It's not just biology. It's intelligent. It responds to more than chemicals and light. It senses intent. If it can sense fear, maybe it can sense calm. If it senses aggression, maybe it can sense guidance." Lyric shook her head. You want to reason with it?" "A human reasoning with something that devours entire laboratories in hours. It's insane." Elias smiled faintly, ignoring the fear in her voice. "Maybe. But humans survive by doing what others think is impossible. If I can show it purpose, show it restraint, maybe it can learn, maybe it can change." He set up a series of experiments. Lights of varying color pulsed rhythmically around the chamber. Sounds of low hums and gentle vibrations played. He used the station's neural interface to project his thoughts and patterns. A rhythm of calm intention, of structured energy, of quiet purpose. The organism shifted violently at first, reacting with sudden, almost angry pulses. Parts of its body swirled in chaotic motion, extending tendrils that brushed the walls. Lyrics gasped, fear gripping her again. It's reacting. Stop. You could lose yourself to it." Elias steadied himself, closing his eyes. "No, I need to hold it. Hold my intention. Focus on calm. Focus on understanding. That's what makes us human. Focus even when fear surrounds us." Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, the organism began to pause between pulses. Its chaotic movements slowed. Tendrils that had stretched wildly now hovered, testing, observing, retracting. Elias opened his eyes slightly and his heart beat faster than ever, not with fear but with hope. Lyrics watched in astonishment. It's responding to you." "How?" He exhaled deeply. "Not me, humans. The way we think. The way we face impossible odds. We don't give in to fear. We create solutions. We communicate even when there's no common language." Maybe it recognizes that. Hours passed. Elias alternated between projecting calm, testing different energy patterns, and observing reactions. He noticed that the organism seemed to mimic his rhythm, pulsing slower when he projected calm and faster when he lost focus. It was learning, not like a human, but like something alien, something new. Lyrics approached cautiously. "If it senses your intention, could it respond to others?" Elias shook his head. "No, not yet. It responds to the combination of thought, courage, and understanding. That's something humans do uniquely. Our brains can pattern intention, emotion, and action in ways it seems to understand." As the hours wore on, a bond, fragile and strange, began to form. The organism pulsed more steadily, as if listening. Its chaotic energy seemed to temper slightly, learning the rhythm, learning the purpose, learning, maybe, restraint. Elias's heart swelled with cautious pride. "Humans adapt," he whispered to Lyrics. "Humans survive. And sometimes, humans can teach life itself to grow without destroying." Lyrics's silver eyes glimmered, awe and hope mixing together. She had witnessed civilizations crumble under this organism's destruction. Yet here a human, a single human, was changing everything. She realized that perhaps humans were not just survivors. Perhaps they were something more, a force the universe had underestimated. And for Elias, as he stared at the slowly calming mass, he felt the first true spark of possibility. They could stop it. They could teach it. And in doing so, humans would leave their mark, by courage, by ingenuity, and by heart. The alarms rang suddenly, shattering the tense calm of the lab. Red lights flashed across the walls, casting long shadows as warning sirens screamed. The organism had reacted violently to something in the station. Its pulses quickened, energy rippling outward, shaking the very structure of the research facility. Lyrix's face went pale. Elias, it's breaking containment.
Make it stop!
Make it stop growing, she shouted, her voice trembling with panic. Elias's heart raced, but he refused to give in to fear. He ran to the nearest control panel, scanning the chaotic readouts. Energy spikes indicated the organism was extending into corridors, tearing through systems, consuming equipment. Its growth rate had accelerated exponentially. Lyrix, stay calm, he yelled, even as his own adrenaline surged. Panic will make it worse. She shook her head, her silver eyes wide with terror. You don't understand. Every second it grows, it destroys more. We could lose the entire station in hours. Elias clenched his fists. He had seen humans face impossible situations before, and they had always found a way. Now it was his turn. He accessed the emergency stabilization systems, rerouting power to reinforce containment fields. Sparks flew, consoles overloaded, and a warning of system failure flashed relentlessly. The organism pulsed, extending long tendrils into the lab. They brushed against barriers, melting through metal as if it were paper. The room shook violently, and Elias felt the weight of everything around him teetering on the edge of collapse. His breath came fast, but his mind stayed sharp. We can't fight it with machines alone, he shouted to Lyrix. We need to reach it directly. Not with barriers, not with chemicals, with our minds. Lyrix stared at him, horrified. Directly? That's suicidal. You could be consumed. Elias shook his head, determination blazing in his eyes. Better to risk everything than do nothing. Humans survive because we act when others freeze. We adapt, we communicate. And sometimes, that's all it takes. He connected the neural interface to his suit, a device meant for communicating with alien life forms on a subconscious level. His heart pounded as he closed his eyes, focusing every ounce of thought, intention, and calm into one single purpose: stop it from destroying the station. The organism reacted immediately, pulses becoming chaotic, almost furious. Tendrils thrashed, colliding with reinforced barriers, causing sparks to fly. It sensed something different, something it had not felt before. Fear? No. Determination. Control. Focus. Elias projected calm, structured thought, projecting his human will like a beacon. Lyrix watched in disbelief. It's responding to you. I've never seen anything like this. Hours passed in tense silence. Every surge of the organism's energy felt like a strike against Elias, but he held his ground, keeping his mind steady. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, the chaos began to temper. Pulses became more rhythmic. Tendrils withdrew slightly. The organism seemed listening. Elias opened his eyes briefly, sweat dripping down his face. It's learning, he whispered. Not like we learn, but it's learning. Lyrix took a hesitant step closer. You're teaching it to restrain itself? A human teaching it? Elias nodded, his voice calm despite exhaustion. Humans survive the impossible. We face fear and we act. We create order where others see chaos. That's what makes us human. That's what's saving the station right now. The organism pulsed again, energy shifting and flowing, but it no longer attacked. It paused, almost as if it understood, almost as if it recognized the difference between destruction and guidance. Lyrix let out a shaky breath, tears forming in her silver eyes. I can't believe it. A human. You're incredible. Elias smiled faintly, still connected to the neural interface. It's not about me. It's about what humans do: courage, creativity, understanding. We don't just survive. Sometimes we teach life to survive too. As the alarms dimmed and the shaking subsided, the station seemed to exhale. The organism remained in the chamber, still massive and powerful but calm. For the first time, it seemed less like a threat and more like a force of life learning its boundaries. Elias stepped back from the console, exhausted but triumphant. For all its alienness, for all its danger, he had made a connection. Humans had faced something impossible, and they had prevailed. Elias stared at the containment chamber, his chest heaving with exhaustion, yet his mind sharper than ever. The organism, though calmer than before, was still massive, still pulsing with alien energy that seemed almost alive. He knew the next step had to be direct. Human will against alien instinct. Machines and barriers could only go so far. It was time to reach the organism in a way no alien technology could. Through thought, intention, and understanding. Lyrics, he said, turning to the trembling alien scientist. We can't just contain it. We need to communicate. Not with words, not with machines. With ourselves. Our minds. Our intent, Lyric's eyes widened. You want to? What, directly? That's too dangerous. You could be consumed instantly. Elias shook his head, his voice calm but firm. It's riskier to do nothing. Humans survive because we act, even when the odds are impossible. Even when fear surrounds us, we face it. That's our strength. He approached the neural interface, a device that allowed a human to project thoughts and emotions directly into alien neural patterns. It was risky. No one knew if it would work, or if it might overwhelm the human mind entirely. But Elias didn't hesitate. Humans didn't wait for perfect conditions. They acted. He connected the interface and took a deep breath, centering his mind. Focus on calm, he whispered to himself. Focus on understanding. Not fear, not control, just guidance. The organism reacted immediately. Pulses of energy swirled violently at first, thrashing against the chamber walls. Tendrils stretched toward the interface as if sensing the human thoughts behind it. Lyrics gasped. It's testing you. Stop. Elias clenched his fists, steadying his breath. No, I have to hold it. Hold my focus. Project Calm, Project Purpose. Show it restraint. Hours passed. Each pulse of the organism mirrored Elias's heartbeat. When he projected calm and focus, it slowed, withdrew, and shifted. When his mind wavered even for a second, the organism thrashed violently, testing boundaries. Every moment was a struggle, not just against the alien mass, but against his own. Fatigue, fear, and doubt. Lyrics watched, unable to look away. It's responding. It's listening to you. Her voice trembled with awe. A human. You're teaching it? Elias nodded, sweat glistening on his brow. Not just me. Humans. We survive impossible things by thinking, adapting, and connecting. Sometimes, that's what life needs. Not control. Not destruction. Just guidance. Slowly, the organism's movements became less chaotic. Pulses softened. Tendrils curled instead of lashing. It hovered in the center of the chamber, enormous yet strangely peaceful. For the first time, it seemed to understand limits, to sense intention instead of simply reacting. Lyrics took a trembling step closer. You've done what my entire civilization couldn't. You've taught it. Restraint? Elias smiled faintly. Not taught. Helped it learn. Humans don't just survive with strength. We survive with courage, ingenuity, and heart. Sometimes, we even teach life itself how to exist without destroying everything around it. The alien scientist's silver eyes glimmered with something new. Hope, admiration, and something like awe. She realized, as Elias's calm presence filled the chamber, that humans were more than unpredictable survivors. They were a force that could face the impossible, not with weapons, but with intelligence, emotion, and courage. Elias withdrew from the interface slowly, exhausted but triumphant. The organism pulsed gently, no longer a threat. It had not only stopped growing uncontrollably but had begun to move with a rhythm that suggested understanding. Lyrics let out a long, shaky breath. I don't know what to say. You've changed everything. You've saved the station. You've saved lives. And you've shown us something we never thought possible. Elias looked at her, humble yet firm. Humans always find a way, not because we are stronger, not because we are faster, but because we don't give up. Even when everything seems lost, we act. That is what makes us human. The organism pulsed once more, a massive wave of energy that filled the chamber, then settled. It was alive, powerful, and now somehow, it had learned a new rhythm, a balance it had never known before. For Elias, standing in that alien lab, watching life itself learn from humanity, a quiet pride filled him. Humans had come to an alien world, faced the impossible, and left a mark, not with weapons or destruction, but with heart, courage, and understanding. And for Lyrics, she realized that humans were not just survivors, they were teachers, healers, and a force the galaxy had underestimated. The lab was quiet now, except for the gentle hum of the station and the soft pulses of the organism in its containment chamber. Elias removed the neural interface, sweat dripping down his face, but his eyes shone with quiet triumph. For the first time since arriving, he felt the impossible might truly be possible. Lyric stepped closer, her silver eyes wide with disbelief and awe. I've never seen anything like this. It's calm. It's listening. You've done what we thought no one could. Elias wiped his forehead and gave a tired smile. It's learning. Not like a human learns, but it's learning restraint, understanding, boundaries. Life doesn't always need force to survive. Sometimes it needs guidance, courage, and patience. Lyric shook her head slowly, almost in disbelief. A human, teaching an organism larger than a city to control itself. I never thought it possible. Elias's mind still raced. Even though the organism had calmed, he knew they weren't completely safe yet. It was still enormous, still powerful, but now it pulsed with a rhythm he could read. It moved in ways that suggested thought, not instinct, and that was enough. He began analyzing the readings. Its growth rate had not only slowed, it had stabilized. Energy outputs that had been dangerously high were now steady, almost like a heartbeat. The organism seemed to understand that it didn't have to consume everything to exist, and for the first time Elias realized something profound. Humans weren't just survivors. Humans were teachers, not through words, but through action, courage, and thought. Lyrics hovered by his side. What happens now? Can it live without destroying everything? Elias nodded. It will. Life adapts, and sometimes it needs someone to guide it. Humans, we don't just react. We think, we plan, we feel. That's how we survive the impossible. And sometimes, we even teach others to survive too. The organism shifted in the chamber, tendrils moving slowly, energy pulsing gently. Almost in acknowledgement, it had learned. It had understood. And in that moment, Elias felt the weight of what humans could do. Not by brute strength, not by domination, but by courage, intelligence, and empathy. Lyrics let out a long breath. You've changed everything here. You've changed the way we understand life, and humans. Elias looked at her, tired but calm. Humans have always done the impossible. We don't always win with force. Sometimes we win with heart. That's what makes us human. The alien scientist stepped closer, her hand shaking. I don't know how to thank you. You saved lives, the station, and maybe even taught our civilization something we never knew. Elias smiled faintly. No thanks needed. Humans survive because we act, because we face fear, and because we refuse to give up. That's all any of us can do. For hours, they watched the organism move gently in its chamber, exploring its environment without destruction. Machines that had been destroyed were replaced, corridors repaired, and slowly the station began to feel alive again. But it wasn't the technology that had saved it. It was a human mind, a human heart, standing against the impossible and finding a way. Lyrics finally sat down, her silver eyes glimmering with a mixture of relief and admiration. I think I understand now. Humans, you're not just survivors. You're remarkable. You don't just adapt, you teach, you inspire, you make life better. Even for creatures we thought were unstoppable. Elias placed a hand on the console, staring at the gently pulsing organism. We've faced worse. We've seen extinction, chaos, and destruction. But humans, we survive, we adapt, and we act. And sometimes that's enough to save worlds. The alien scientist smiled faintly, still overwhelmed. And for the first time she realized that humans were not just another species in the galaxy. Humans were a force, a reminder that courage, empathy, and intelligence could change life itself. Elias stepped back, exhaustion weighing on him, but his heart light with pride. Humanity had faced the impossible again, not with weapons or domination, but with thought, bravery, and understanding. The organism was alive, powerful, and now, it was learning to exist without destroying. And in that quiet moment, high above the clouds of the gas giant, Elias understood something even greater. Humanity's true strength wasn't in survival alone. It was in the courage to teach, to inspire, and to face the impossible with heart. The station was calm now, a quiet contrast to the chaos of just days before. The organism pulsed steadily in its chamber, enormous yet serene, no longer a threat but a living testament to the power of understanding. Elias Harper stood before it, his body tired, his mind exhausted, yet his spirit light with quiet pride. He had faced the impossible, and for the first time the universe itself seemed to pause and take notice. Lyrics approached him, her silver eyes glimmering with awe and something like admiration. Elias, I don't know how to describe what you've done. You've changed everything. You didn't just save the station, you changed life itself. And you've shown us something we never thought possible about humans. Elias shook his head, a tired but humble smile on his face. I didn't do it alone. The organism responded to courage, to patience, to understanding. That's what humans do. We survive not because we are the strongest or the fastest, but because we face the impossible with heart. We don't just react, we think, we adapt, we teach. Lyrics' voice softened. Teach, yes, that's it. You've shown something we've never known. Humans don't just survive, they inspire even life itself to change and grow. I never imagined a human could do this. Elias looked back at the organism, which moved gently, tendrils curling in slow, deliberate patterns. It seemed almost peaceful, almost aware, almost grateful. He could feel it learning, sensing, adapting, not through fear or force, but through guidance and courage, you see, Elias continued. Humans have faced extinction, disasters, and countless dangers. And each time we find a way to survive, not by destroying but by understanding. Sometimes the impossible isn't about strength, it's about heart. Lyrics nodded slowly, understanding finally dawning. Human, you're not just survivors. You're teachers, guardians, even heroes. I don't think we've ever seen anything like you in the galaxy. Elias laughed softly, a weary but warm sound. We don't think of ourselves as heroes. We just do what we must. Fear is natural, but we don't let it stop us. That's what makes humans remarkable. And sometimes that's enough to change the course of events no one else thought possible. The alien scientist studied him, a spark of inspiration lighting her eyes. You've not only saved this station, you've saved lives, knowledge, and perhaps even the future of our civilization, all because a human faced the impossible with courage and thought. Elias smiled faintly. Yes, and that is what humans do. We survive, we adapt, and we inspire. Even in the darkest moments, even when the odds are against us, we find a way. That's what makes us human. The organism pulsed once more, a gentle, rhythmic movement that seemed to echo Elias's words. The station's system stabilized. The destroyed corridors and labs would be repaired. But it was not the technology that had saved everything.